Just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if they're sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 145. Mike Biseglia, Alex Vanessowitz, the Nets and the Knicks out west this past week. And here we are. The Knicks are 8-8, just coming off a loss to the Golden State Warriors, while the Brooklyn Nets are 7-9, finishing off their trip with a win versus the Portland Trailblazers. Alex, 16 games into the season, it feels... For me, as a Net fan, it feels like it's been more. As a Knicks, they've been up and down, and they've found themselves at 500, but playing good basketball of late. Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Fool's gold for the Knicks. I mean, if you're winning behind Julius Randle and Isaiah Hartenstein and guys like that, then what are you doing? But anyway, I'm good. They lost last night to the Warriors. They were not in the game from the start. It was one of those that were just completely outclassed, and the Warriors sort of toying with them, only up 11 at the half when it felt like they should be up by like 50. But it was just, the game was never in doubt. And, RJ Barrett's been playing sick for some reason, and he's been shooting horribly this week. And I don't know why the Knicks are playing him sick. The same year when Quentin Grimes is playing hurt in a preseason game and then doesn't play and has barely played this season. They're feeling very Wilpon Mets era medical staff right now, the Knicks. And I don't know what's happening.
It's funny, and we'll talk about, of course, Kyrie Irving's going to make his return Sunday versus the Memphis Grizzlies, and then Ben Simmons had his best game of the season by far in the Nets win versus the Blazers, which was needed after giving up 702 points to the Sacramento Kings. I do think it's really interesting, Alex, when you talk about the Knicks, because last year around this time, if I told you they were 8-8, what they were going through, you had a different mindset where you were telling fans, relax, they'll get it together, they'll figure it out, it's early. But now it's almost like you're seeing they're winning games because of the veteran guys, and you don't seem as hopeful as last year with the Knicks, even though they're probably playing maybe better basketball than they did last year.
Yeah, because we saw how it ended, and we saw how what didn't happen this offseason, not to harp on that, but it didn't happen. And, the other thing is how some Knicks fans or Knicks fan accounts and things like that on Twitter or anywhere on social media, Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs record is not as good as they had started. And they're like, look, we have the same record. Good thing we didn't gut our whole team for Donovan Mitchell. It's just a silly, short-sighted argument, because the Cavs have Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Mobley, and they have guys that are built for the future. Even if they don't win this year, they're set up for success over the next 5-10 years.
Sure.
The Knicks are not. Sure, they could end up with, close to the same record this year, which is probably not going to happen. But even if they do, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't prove anything. And it's just going off of that. And then the Knicks shopping Emmanuel Quickley or Derrick Rose. I understand Derrick Rose, but Emmanuel Quickley is the type of player that's going to flourish somewhere else if you let him go. If you trade him for a mid-first round pick or something in the future, it's just stupid. Guys like, Quickley, Obi, Brunson, Barrett, Robinson, Sims, Reddish, and Grimes need to play all the time. And they need to get the bulk of the minutes. And it gets just dump Rose, Fournier, Randall, and even Hartenstein. Who cares? And just let's see what happens. And, maybe they won't be good, but at least we'll know. You got Obi Toppin as a top 10 pick. We keep saying the same thing every week, and it's so frustrating, man.
I would say what's maybe in a good sense for the Knicks is if Julius Randle, who I think he's increased his trade value this year. Now,
trade him now. Yeah.
I think that if the Knicks have plans and the right plans and trying to rebuild and do it the right way and get better, and they're winning games here and there, but if maybe it means a couple more losses and they can get something back for Randall, he's proving that he was untradeable. And I said this in all the podcasts we did over the last offseason that he was untradeable based on what had happened the year before in his contract. But if he continues to play well, is the good teammate, quote unquote, if you believe it or not, I think his trade value goes up a lot. And now you get a team that's desperate and is looking to take it to the next level, where Julius Randle isn't your number one option, but he is your third or fourth option on a team like the Phoenix Suns, right? Or maybe the Warriors get desperate and they need something back in return. Maybe there's a team I look in the West that needs to get over the hump, and they make the move and give up a little too much in draft picks or what, at a young player, whatever.
Take them back.
The Lakers take them back because they need something, and they say, here you go. I think his play, so as much as it's been annoying, they're winning games. He's played well. But if you feel like, for the growth of the success of the Knicks, at least I would say Randall's making himself tradable again, which he was not in the offseason. And maybe the Knicks get a little bit more now than they could have 3 months ago because he's proving it on the court. And then a team that's kind of desperate to try to win a title, hey, we could get Randall in the mix here. He's our third or fourth option. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's take back some more draft picks that we won't trade for a star.
Well, I mean, at least in this case is a little different, but I hear you. I get it. I know your sarcasm.
Yeah, definitely sarcasm, but it's good. No, you got to clear the deck and let's see if we get through this season and we still don't know what Obi is, and we still don't know what Quickly is, we still don't know what Grimes is, we still don't know what these guys are. Then it's a wasted season, and you're just wasting years of not my life because I'm just a fan, but you're wasting years of RJ Barrett. I mean, I know he's playing and he's been playing poorly this week. I know he's been sick, but you're just wasting time for the development of these players. And then, eventually they're not going to be able to develop anymore. They're going to be too old. So it's just like people are saying, oh, they're only 22, they're only 23, they're 24, 20 years old, whatever. How you're not wasting years. Yes, you are. Every year is critical to their development. And that's why Tibbs had to go. And that's why I wasn't sure if I even wanted Tibbs to begin with. I wanted somebody like Atkinson, who was there last night for the Warriors. I wanted somebody like, Mike Miller just for another year and then see what happens, because you bring a guy like Tibbs and they won, 2 years ago and got the 4 seed. That was a lot of fun. I wouldn't trade that for anything. And I don't think that's what made the Knicks go all in on Kemba and then re-sign everybody back. I think it was more of just Leon Rose just botching and not really knowing what he's doing. I think regardless of the 4 seed, he wouldn't have known what he was doing. I think he's just scared to make the big move, and he just doesn't know what, giving 2 guaranteed years to Kemba Walker was a joke. The guy got bought out by the Thunder. I celebrated the move because I thought it was a 1-year deal. I'm like, all right, 1 year. If he stinks, big deal. But it was a 2-year deal. So you have to dump assets just to get rid of him.
That sucked.
It was insane, I don't know. And it's just, we're repeating ourselves at this point. It's just, it was a good road trip. They won 2 games on the road back to back. That's almost impossible to do on the West Coast, even without Jokic, for the Nuggets, whatever.
Yeah, no, they get the solid wins there. They win in Denver. Yeah. Then, the Warriors have struggled early in the year, but still going into Golden State, tough task team, the defending champions. Warriors improved to 7-9, which is the same record as the Brooklyn Nets. And by the way, right now, if the playoffs were to start today, the 9-10 play-in game would feature the 2 teams from New York. You'd have the Nets having to travel to Madison Square Garden to see who can advance in the play-in tournament. So that's where we are right now. Nets 7-9, and they got a much needed win versus the Portland Trailblazers, a game that was coming off a fiasco of 2 straight losses versus the Lakers, and then giving up 150 something points versus the Kings. Nets beat the Clippers on the front end of this 4-game swing. So the Nets go 2-2 on the trip. They're 7-9. And most encouraging is that you saw the best game from Ben Simmons that he's had so far as a Brooklyn Net. And it all stems, I'm not even talking about stat line, which was the best. He did have his best game with 15 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists, and played great defense. The bigger thing was his body language. He looked confident. Yeah, he looked like he was meant to be out there on the court. And that, for me, was the big difference maker in how he played, was having confidence, right? Everything in life's about confidence. If you can go out there and feel good and feel energized, it'll be a difference in your performance. And it was clear there from Ben Simmons. That made a big, big, big difference for the Nets as a team that's, has had a rough week. There was news, Kevin Durant making news, how you want to talk about that. If you agree, disagree. Now Kyrie Irving is coming back Sunday. He'll be there for the Grizzlies. So the Nets needed Ben Simmons' performance. And it just, him playing like that changes my mindset on the season completely. It just does, right? Like, I would never tell you that the Nets team is a title contender team. But if Ben Simmons is going to start to develop and play like that, it changes the whole dynamic of how you feel about this season, regardless if Kyrie Irving's back or not.
Yeah, but I don't think it's regardless. I think Kyrie is the big wild card because Ben Simmons could be rolling and then Kyrie comes back and then something stupid happens again. It's just right. Odds are he's going to do something else, whether you agree with him or not, whatever it is.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Something's going to happen that's going to pull him away from the court or distract the team. And it's just what it is at this point. And
yeah, this is the put up or shut up moment for the Nets because now they're 7-9. They've weathered this. Kyrie comes back. If they're going to do anything, if they don't start it now, it's never going to happen. Like they've got to start turning it around. I talked about on the previous episode how much better the Nets were playing without Irving. I said that. I'm on the record of saying that. Personally, I loved him not being there. It was great. I understand time, moves, etc. He's back. It is what it is. We'll see. Like now, let's see what happens. And I'm curious what transpires with this basketball team. And I want to say this as well. I have been way less engaged on Twitter. I've really put it down. I've had no interest in going back and forth with people. It's just pointless, and people are angry and mean and will say shitty things to you. And I've decided I'll just use my platform here on Bad Weather Fans, but I don't want to see people that keep shitting on Nick Friedel and say, like, I can't believe I'm going to be defending him. But this whole idea, like, oh, Kyrie's coming back. Can we just talk about basketball? And if Nick Friedel wants to ask a question to Kyrie Irving about what have you been doing for the last 2 weeks? I think that's warranted. Okay. I'm not saying if he does 25 questions and it's Barbara Walters sit down and it gets to a point where it's been enough, but the questions to Kyrie Irving, they have to be addressed. And I want to say that is normal. And that is welcomed media members doing that. I talked about it on the Knicks side when I said when the Knicks hid from the media, I didn't like it. If they don't allow Nick Friedel, or you get mad at Nick Friedel for asking not even tough questions, the right questions, then you are in the same vein of limiting media. Stop it. Right? They have to be asked. And if it's 2 weeks from now and he's addressed it and Nick Friedel's bringing it up again, yeah, that would be out of turn. Let's talk about the games. But for his first game back, hasn't been around the team for a couple of weeks. We've heard reports on this list that he had to accomplish. Like, there has to be questions asked. Do not get angry if Nick Friedel or any other media members is curious what's been happening to Kyrie Irving over the last 2 weeks.
It's definitely fair questions. And that's the whole thing. Kyrie can complete this list, which I think the list was a little ridiculous, or releasing the list. It was ridiculous and all of that. And what Kyrie did, we've talked about that so many times. And if you listen to the show, you know what our thoughts are on that. But he was going to come back eventually. I thought the Nets should have just, dumped him, but he's going to come back and he's going to have a press conference before the game. And the rest of the season rides on how he handles that. Sure. He released his apology on Instagram, but he has to speak. He has to show that he cares. He has to show that he wrote the apology. He has to show sincerity. If he is going to come back and have no issues, and everybody like us, us silly Jews will move on from the apology and move on from the situation. He just has to act like he cares. And that's it.
It'll take 30 seconds. Then it's over.
Right.
It's over.
But he's so arrogant that we don't know if that's going to happen.
I mean, see, that's why I'm interested to see. Like, I'm interested to hear. And I don't think anybody, and anybody that says I don't want it to be asked is scared of what he'll say next and is scared of allowing him to speak. And that, to me, is then limiting free speech. You're limiting his free speech. If you're saying, I don't think this should be asked, you're limiting the way free speech works. Right.
Yeah.
Everybody's so, hey, this is free speech. He's allowed to say what he wants. Well, then Nick Friedel's allowed to ask him the same goddamn questions.
Right. There have been guys in the history of sports that have hated the media. Like Eddie Murray comes to mind from the Mets back in the day, or like Marshawn Lynch, who was just like, yeah, I'm just here so I don't get fined. No matter what the question was, that's all he would say. And it became funny after a while. And that was just his thing, but he wasn't doing it to avoid a controversy. He just fucking hated the media and he hated talking, and it just wasn't his thing. And it's a little different than this situation where it's like he has to answer the questions and he can't hide from the media every game. And if he doesn't address it before the game, then he's going to be asked about it after the game. He's going to be asked about it the next game. He's going to be asked about it the next game. You can't hide from the media forever. You have to talk. It's part of being a professional athlete. It's part of your contract. It's part of your deal with TV networks. It's part of your deal. It's just what you have to do. You address it before the game and you talk about it. You answer the questions and then you move on. And then if you move on, if you answer the questions and then you move on, you then can say, I'm not answering questions about that ever again.
Fair.
And then that's fine.
Totally fair. Totally fair.
It's so simple, man. It's just so simple that it's crazy that it's complicated for him, and that's the problem.
We'll see how he does. We'll see how he does with the Nets on the court because of Jacques Vaughn and the way the Nets have been playing. They've changed their style a little bit, especially defensively and offensively. I'll be really interested to see how he comes back into the frame and works within it. I think early on it'll be successful. I think it will be. Ultimately, though, yeah, like you said, there's just something that will go wrong. And I don't even come from the place of, the Nets are 11-4 right now or 10-6, right? They're 7-9. They're kind of meandering through and getting through. They got through the Blazer game was so important to get through a West Coast trip 2-2. Always difficult through those, which I said for the Knicks, all be said, they're winning games on the West Coast trip. The Nets do that to go to 2-2. Now they come home, although they get more road games, but they're going to play a Grizzlies team that's without Desmond Bane, and they're going to play a Grizzlies team that might be without John Morant, who went down with an ankle injury from the night before. So no excuses for the Nets. They have got to beat up the Grizzlies. Like they got to come in and Kyrie's back, Simmons playing better, KD and they got to crush the Grizzlies. Sunday.
I know last year was last year, but the Grizzlies were
different team.
Awesome without John Morant last year. They lost like one game, like they were like 18-1 or something crazy without John.
It was
Morant
a wild record,
yeah. But that's a different team than last year. And if Bane's out, then that's a different story. And what's the other guy that was there last year is gone. I forgot his name. But so we'll see there. I just feel like at this point, if it doesn't work out for the Nets at the deadline, they probably have to just dump Durant and get rid of Kyrie and just like move on, because it feels like at this point they're just keeping Durant to have a draw and to be relevant on the national stage. If it's not working out by February, it's just at this point, if you're just keeping him, then you're basically holding him hostage. And I know he created this mess, but like you're just holding on to him just so you can be like, we have Kevin Durant, talk about us on TV, and just you're not doing it to win. You're not doing it to progress the franchise. You're just kind of like, hey, we have Durant, and Durant just said, who are these bums that I'm playing with? What do you expect me to win with? And it's insane.
Well, it worked. They did play well. Joe Harris came out and did respond in that first half. And Royce O'Neal had his, first career triple-double. Yeah. He was very good. And I think indirectly, it was a shot at Ben Simmons because even though he didn't name Ben Simmons, he didn't name him because he was benched. He wasn't starting.
Because he's not relevant.
So
he wasn't relevant.
Is, I don't think Durant can't make that comment and say what you want about it, right? You want to say, hey, it was fucked up. Hey, you don't say that about your teammates, whatever. If Ben Simmons is in that list, could you imagine if he goes, hey, look who I'm playing with, and he names an former all NBA player? The whole point is Simmons has been so bad that Edmund Sumner, who's been fine, who's been a good pickup for the Nets, is one of those guys that's, last kind of signing, coming off an injury, is a nice end of your bench kind of player, but now he's thrusted into the starting lineup. And then that comment makes sense if you're just eliminating if it was right or wrong. Yeah, he's right, but it's because Simmons hasn't performed. Kyrie Irving is not on the team at the moment. And then it all storms together there. And that to me was like, without saying it, it was an indirect shot at Ben Simmons because he has been so bad that Kevin Durant can't even name him as a starter.
Yeah, it's so funny because the Knicks have pieces that the Nets could use, and the Nets, it's just it would never happen. A trade would never happen.
Who's your trade? Let me hear it.
It's somebody like Jericho Sims would be perfect for the Nets. Somebody like that, yes. or even quickly, it would be perfect for the Nets. But the Knicks and Nets will never make a trade ever. Not in this.
Who would you want from the Nets? Is there anybody you would want, like a young piece?
A young piece? No.
Cam Thomas,
Joe Harris would be cool. I wouldn't mind him.
But Joe Harris
not traded. Yeah,
Joe Harris you don't need Joe Harris. if you're going in a rebuild mode.
There's really nobody. Cam Thomas, I guess, is the only one. I mean, Claxton, I guess. But like, what does that do? You know, the Knicks have Robinson and Sims. You know,
no, it's not making you better.
Yeah. So there's really nothing. But the Knicks have players the Nets would want. And the Knicks have players that other teams would want. And that's why Quickly's out on the block and Derrick Rose is out on the block. And but it doesn't matter. You know, it's just, you shouldn't be putting Quickly out on the trade block. And what are you going to get for him now? If you're just trading him just to trade him. That's what the Knicks have done over the last 25 years since they've been good in the 90s. That because whenever they're like, hey, this guy isn't a star, let's trade him. And then when you a couple years go by and you get semi good, you're like, damn, I wish we had a player like that. And you're watching him crush it on another team like Nene, like Shumpert, guys like
David Lee,
David Lee, Channing Frye, like guys who just become really quality NBA players and win championships. And you're just like, damn, I wish we had these guys. Like, well, you did. So hold on to Quickly, hold on to Sims, hold on to these guys, and let's see, and then build and add to it. Unless you can trade them for somebody like Donovan Mitchell, who's an all NBA player, a future Hall of Famer. Then you go and do that. But I wouldn't have traded RJ Barrett for him. And please stop using this month of basketball to say RJ Barrett stinks. Like, can we stop it? Sure, he's been shooting terribly. Sure, he has not lived up to the contract. Sure, he seems like a volume shooter right now, but he has been sick. He is still 22 years old. He still has star potential. Let's relax with RJ Barrett, and comparing him to Julius Randle is just ridiculous. Julius Randle has had a long NBA career. He is what he is. RJ Barrett is not yet. Until we have a team that makes sense here at Madison Square Garden, even if they play on the road, of course, but like until we have a team in the Knicks organization that makes sense on paper, you are not going to see the development of these kids to their fullest extent. And that includes RJ Barrett, that includes Quentin Grimes, that includes Emmanuel Quickly, that includes Obi Toppin, that includes Mitchell Robinson, that includes Jericho Sims, Cam Reddish, all of these guys. Until you have a coach that makes sense and a team that makes sense, you're not going to see these players reach their full potential. Thank you.
I like that you said star potential for RJ Barrett. I'll take that as a win.
Last year
he had our debates.
Yeah, well, last year he had that look, man. He was playing at a star level, and he had the ball in his hands, and he would say, "Give me the fucking ball and get out of my way." He wasn't deferring to anybody. He had that.
Randall was gone.
Yeah, well, even before Randall was gone, he was just like, give me the fucking ball. I'm going to average 20 this year, and I'm going to score, and I don't give a shit what anybody says. And he doesn't have that this year. He's just deferring, standing in the corner. Maybe that's Brunson's around. I don't know, but with Brunson and Randall, both are ball handlers. And then it's like, how does RJ Barrett? That's why I'm saying this team makes no sense. It's just you can't have three guys who need the ball. You know what I mean? It's tough. It's really tough. But overall,
which is why when Richard Jefferson came on the show and he said, "Hey, you give up RJ Barrett for Donovan Mitchell."
It's true.
He did say it.
He did say it.
He did say it. He said you didn't agree, but I mean, at this point, if you were to make that swap, how much better are the Knicks?
Yeah, I mean, how much better are they? And I don't know.
They're 8-8. So.
What the worst part is that they didn't have to give RJ Barrett to get Donovan Mitchell. I'm not going to have the same debate. They could have given more picks and gotten Donovan Mitchell and kept guys like Quickly and Barrett and whatever, and seen what happens. But they never upped their offer to 4 picks. They said 3, and then they said, okay, RJ, and then they said, no, forget it. And they played games, and the Jazz said, you know what, fuck you. Like, enough of you. And it's so stupid at this point. And the Jazz Knicks, right now, people acting like, look at the Jazz. They're playing really well. Like the Jazz are just like the Nuggets post-Melo trade, where they're going to win a lot of regular season games because they're going to play hard.
No stars, though.
No stars. They're not going to win anything in the playoffs. They're going to be one and done in the playoffs if they even make it at this point. Lauri Markkanen is who he is. He's been in the NBA a while. He's not this good. Like, let's relax with the Jazz this year, okay?
He has played well.
Basketball. Yeah, it's so early in the year, and guys on paper, you know what I mean? It's like kind of let's see football. You know what I mean? Like the Jets and the Giants. They win a couple games early. You're like, whatever. Let's see what happens. But you have to keep winning in order for it to be real, because on paper, it doesn't make sense. So by the halfway point of the year, you're like, all right, well, I guess the Jets and Giants are legit,
Markkanen last night, 38 points, 15 for 18 from the field in 34 minutes. Markkanen on the year, averaging 22 and 8.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, he was a 7th pick in the draft.
I know, but
so, I mean, I think this gives hope that Obi Toppin can do with 22 and 8. I mean, granted, Lauri Markkanen just got 35 minutes, and it was a third team that's got him in that right spot
for now.
But I mean, kind of alluding back to your point of like, hey, giving up Lauri Markkanen, To me, it's the same idea when you're talking about guys staying on your roster and developing. Look at Marketing. He's in another spot and now he's flourishing.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be, 38 a night kind of guy. And he'll probably regress a little bit, but still, it took time and it's finally starting to click for him.
Yeah, it is. It is. And the Knicks are in a weird position now because, Mitchell Robinson's going to come back soon. He's not yet, like right away, but he's on his way back. He's going to come back soon. And now you have Jericho Sims, another double last night. Isaiah Hartenstein, the quote unquote, air quotes, big free agent signing for the Knicks. So I did a poll question. Who do you think the Knicks bench when Mitchell Robinson comes back? Isaiah Hartenstein or Jericho Sims? Who do you think won? So who do you think they bench, not what you think should happen?
I think Hardenstein goes to the bench.
Yeah, 50.7% Hartenstein, 49.3 Sims. Yeah, even, completely even. It's crazy how even that was. And I don't know how you sit down Jericho Sims. Like, how do you sit this guy down? You just drafted him last year. He looks like a player. He can jump out of the fucking gym. You didn't sign him
for $20 million.
Yeah, that's the reason. And that's stupid. So that's stupid. That's another reason. I know they got Hartenstein because, they knew Mitch was going to go down at some point, which he did.
They made the right decision.
Yeah, but at the same time, how do you now sit down Jericho Sims and not just use Hartenstein as your third stringer? But it's money, so money talks and BS walks. So a couple of responses. We have Ray Hoops 3 at Ray Jones 412. He said Isaiah is better, but there are going to be times where Isaiah and Mitch struggle. So we always have Sims ready for those situations. So it's a good point. We have Fiji Void at Void FIJI. I'm surprised nobody mentioned how Hart is literally doing nothing that Sims doesn't do 5 times better. So it's like basically like Sims. How great is Hartenstein? Why should he play? Let's see. Our boy Jesse at J Masterpiece. He goes, where is the look into trading Mitchell Robinson option? Yeah, that's not happening. No chance. The Knicks are not trading Mitchell Robinson now after they just paid him, and they could have traded him in the offseason. So there's that. That's a poll question. Knicks poll question.
I saw some people, and it's an interesting one. They said, hey, this was the reason not to sign and give all that money to Mitchell, is because you had young bigs that were not quite as good, maybe, but you could have used that money in other places and saved on it. I said at the time, and I'll still say it at the time, like, wasn't enough sample size to go off Jericho Sims if you're gonna,
right,
keep him as your starting center.
Plus, if you're over the cap, you have to re-sign your guys because you're over the cap.
I like that. Yeah, so you got to.
It's not like you have the money now that like you didn't give Mitchell Robinson. You're over the cap. So
it's actually a reasonable contract, all things considered. Things are different than they were. You can't look at it and go, you're giving this guy $15 million. I mean, that's not. Yes, that's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. Like, I make half that a year, but it's no big deal. My point is, it's not the 15 that it was in 1997 or even 2016.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's a lot.
CBA,
it's a lot of money, obviously. Don't get me wrong. And I don't make $7.5 million a year. Yeah. But the point is, it's not what you think it is in NBA terms. It's not the it's not huge. It's a lot of money, but it's not like earth shattering. Like, look at James Harden contracts and Giannis's when guys are between 40 and 60.
Yeah, and those are the untradeable contracts where the super duper maxes, and that's why having a 75 draft picks isn't going to do anything because you're not going to have enough players on your team to match up with these contracts. So, like, the idea of the Knicks trading for a megastar, a quote unquote megastar, with all these draft picks that are not as valuable as these megastars is laughable. That's why Donovan Mitchell was the guy to get because he lived here, he's from here, he wants to be here. And you could have got him without having to gut your entire roster. But we're here now, and the Knicks are average, and they're going to be average, and they're going to be a playing team, and it'll be fun for a week, and then we're wasted a year. So
we got to just give shout out to Utah Watanabe, who's been awesome. He has been awesome for the Nets. He has been under the radar, great signing. The guy leads the league in 3-point shooting.
Really?
And it's just been, he didn't play in the Knicks game. He was hurt.
No, but
the ankle injury from for one of the previous games. But shout out to him. And then Just looking at the schedule ahead will be interesting. Ben Simmons, if he plays, who knows? I mean, seriously, like that would be, I don't know. Well, you never know. But the Nets in Philly on Tuesday, and this will be, the first time. Now, Ben Simmons did come back when the Nets beat the crap out of the Sixers last year, but you'll see Ben Simmons debut versus Philly. That'll be very interesting to watch. And for the Sixers, I saw some news yesterday. Tyrese Maxey got hurt and has to get an MRI. So that would be a big one for Philly. And yeah, it'll be Simmons in Philly. I think in my head, I know how it goes.
Oh yeah,
not well.
No, not well.
Not well.
Well,
like,
listen,
I can't.
If he does do well,
I could be wrong, but that would be my natural guess. Like, I don't see him coming out 7 for 11 and cranking one back on Embiid. Like, I think he'll come out aggressive. He definitely will, but I get weary of that. And I to Simmons' credit too.
Yeah,
when Chauncey Billups went to hack a Simmons in the fourth, Simmons went 3 for 4 from the line. So credit to him for making the free throws. And it felt good to do it on Chauncey, who basically had a comment before the game. Man, I'm glad we're not them. Along those lines.
Chauncey Billups, once a Knick, always a Knick. That's right. But yeah. No, I hear you. But you know what? For Ben Simmons, it's almost like if he does well in Philly plays well, it can set up the rest of the season. Yeah,
it's true.
Clicked in.
It's true. Like if he can go in and just wreak havoc and have a great game, and he wins on a fadeaway 3 when they're down 2.
Fadeaway 3.
I mean, that would be. I mean, as much as you hate the Nets, to see the city of Philly, like that would be the ultimate fuck you. If
I would
to beat them.
No, I would want the Nets to lose.
I know, but that would be tremendous. It would be
funny. Yes, it would be funny.
Switching gears, is this the most excited you've been for a Jets game as they take on the Pats on Sunday at 1, which sucks that they're the same time as the Giants. The Knicks play at 3:30 at that game as well, which is
I'm not going to watch
Phoenix, so that's a 12:30 game. So you'll definitely miss the beginning of that as you finish off the Jets. What's your feelings, your excitement level as you gear up for probably one of the biggest Jets games, and you can tell me a long time?
That's the biggest Jets game since a few weeks ago when they played the Patriots the last time.
you know what I mean?
But before this year,
since
2015, when they beat the Patriots or lost to the Bills in Week 17, it's a huge game, sure. And beating the Bills before the bye was the stamp of approval on this season. Where before that they were beating backup quarterbacks, so the Packers stink, and it was just. Not lucky, but it was kind of like, all right, but they won, but they played a third string quarterback. Yeah, they won, but this rookie started came in at halftime. Yeah, they won, but now it's like, all right, your star rookie running back is out for the year, and your best offensive lineman and AVT is gone, and you still win, and you still beat the Bills, who are a Super Bowl team, a Super Bowl contender. That's pretty impressive, man. And I'm excited, but with the Patriots giving Bill Belichick a week to prepare, and they just played them. I am not confident. I think they can. You haven't
beaten the Pats in 7 years.
Yeah, and since that game, Eric Decker making the catch in the end zone to win the game at the Meadowlands, and it's insane. But I can't. I can't be confident, man.
Pats are
I can't. Pats are getting
favorites, I think
3.5. The Jets are getting 3.5 in the game. I picked the Patriots in my picks pool this week, which I've won 2 in a row, by the way, which is pretty cool.
You're just protecting yourself there.
Yeah, because I don't trust.
I think the Jets are going to do it. This is from an outsider's perspective, somebody that's not like a diehard Jets fan or anything like it. It just
hard for me to be objective right now.
It feels like it's time. It just feels like it's time. Okay, There's only so many times in a row you can lose. I mean, I get it. The Knicks never beat the Nets. That's been 3 years.
Same thing. Yeah.
But it just feels like it's time. And it's time for Zach Wilson to have a performance where he beats the Patriots for the first time. The Jets have a legit Super Bowl defense. I mean, they have a defense that can go in and win Super Bowls. That's how good the Jets defense is. I think it's time, and it ends, and they go into New England and they get the W and they celebrate. and Jets fans are talking about possibly winning the division. It naturally feels ready, and this just my gut instinct. Big win versus the Bills, week off to rest. The feeling I think of losing last time, I think probably coming in there a little cocky versus New England. To me, I think the Jets come in and it's like, no, it's all business. Like they come in and they are focused. I like the Jets.
Yeah, that's the thing. The last time, remember we talked about it. I'm like, can we relax? The Jets fans were talking about running up the score. I'm like, can we win?
No, I think it's
yeah.
But I think
the
mindset now is we came here to beat the Patriots.
Just
like,
win.
Just like
win.
Let's fucking end this. Like we have to do like see, I'm getting you to smile. I'm getting you geeked out. You're thinking about the Jets winning on a Sunday.
I'm
going in
for
there
the game.
7-3. Last second defensive stand, pumping your fist, thinking about all the great Jets of the past, all 7 of them. You're getting all fired up.
I don't think they've won in New England since the playoff game in 2010 or 11, 10. Yeah, whatever it was, whatever season that was, and whatever year that playoff was in. It's insane, man. And I can't say it's going to happen until I see it happen. It's just one of those things. Especially since I still don't think Saleh is a great coach. So like you're gonna have Belichick, who has a week and a half to prepare for this, and he just played you. I find it hard to believe anybody can be confident in this game for the Jets. And I'm going to say the same thing over and over here.
Hey, if Josh Allen doesn't play for the Bills in 2 weeks ago, they beat them by 30. That's how good the Jets were.
Yeah, I mean, Sauce Gardner's a superstar, man. As a rookie,
phenomenal. Yeah. Jets are in a good place.
Reed also
young, talented. If you took the Jets away from the jersey and you said this was another team, there'd be way more juice about it because it's the Jets.
It's the quarterback.
Well, the quarterback too. Yeah, you replaced the quarterback.
Yeah,
this is a Super Bowl team.
Right.
So if he makes leaps and bounds, the Jets can go to a Super Bowl.
Well, this is why a couple of years ago, instead of drafting a quarterback, I wanted to just get that veteran in there to win some games and resurrect the franchise and get me some wins and feel good, and then go get the quarterback. You know what I mean? And then go get the rookie, like what the Eagles did. Look at the Eagles. They built up the team, and then they brought in Hurts, and they're like, all right, look at us. Got a year or two for him to develop, and now they're going to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but Alex, I will say this: like, what was Zach, the second pick in the draft or whatever it was? The Jets have drafted great. Yeah. They have young players that are flourishing. This is how it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he's good, they're set. Then it's just, I think it's more of a miss on him. Jalen Hurts at the time, there was a lot of questions.
Was he a second round pick, right?
I mean, he was. You think about the string of QBs at Bama. He was hidden behind Tua.
Yeah,
it was people come in. Can he play the NFL position? All these questions, and he's flourished in the Eagles. There was Carson Wentz was the quarterback, and Hurts came in and then obviously the rest is history there.
Second round
pick, I think if you're the Jets, you drafted great. You've got all this young talent on the field. It's just if you hit on this one, and if they missed on this one, it's almost even more frustrating because they have legit talent now. And but also if they missed on this one, you could easily see them then making a pivot because they have talent where they can go get themselves maybe not the greatest quarterback in the world, but if they can get themselves somebody that's better.
Competent,
they can they can make some noise. I'm excited for your Jets, and I don't hate the Jets. I'm rooting for the Jets. I'm not like this is not the Knicks or the Yankees, right? Like,
well,
for me,
I hate the Giants.
I know you hate the Giants. I have no animosity for the Jets. I want them.
Won. They won the games. Yeah,
I really want them to win. This is not I would never want the Yankees to win. I would never want the Knicks to win, but I'm in on the Jets. And then the Giants, weird game versus the Lions. Giants favored by 3 points on this one.
Yeah, same.
Lions have won 2 straight. They have a very good offense. Defensively, not so much. Yeah. And you ask any Giants fan, they're like, oh, here this feels like
the setup.
This feels like a lot. Like for me, I'm like, this feels like a loss because the talent, even though the Giants have a much better record than the Lions, talent wise,
they're good. They have a good team.
It's about the same, and Detroit maybe has more.
Yeah, I mean they got some good running backs. They got Swift and what's his name, Williams, and they're
winning.
They have some talent. I mean, last week there was no everybody knew the Giants were going to stomp the Texans. There was no worries there. The Texans are a joke, Davis Mills and whatever. But this week it's kind of like, all right, another bad team, another home game. So it's just I do think the Giants can win, will win, but because dome teams on the road and it might be a little cold, I think that benefits you guys a little bit.
The home factor, I think, is a big deal in this game.
Yeah,
it's a big deal. I think that home field for the Giants in this sense is a huge difference maker. If they're in Detroit, I'm feeling very bad about this, but in New York, Giants, every game they have is always going to be close. I would expect more of the same, to have just your typical Giants 23-21, 27-24, something along those lines, maybe a little more offense because the Lions defense stinks and the Giants seem to be a little bit better offensively. They had a couple nice drives in the last week versus the Texans, and Daniel Jones got them moving. And I want them to win this game so badly because it just sets up what would be an epic Thanksgiving where the Giants and Cowboys could meet, possibly, with who see what happens with the Eagles, but very much in contention for the division. Would be a massive one.
It would be. And speaking of Detroit, how about the Bills and the Browns playing in Detroit because there's like 7,000 feet of snow in Buffalo?
Have you seen those videos? Crazy.
It's insane.
Crazy.
So that's a huge.
That's
game
the right
too.
decision. Yeah. No,
that's a huge game. That's bad for the Bills because usually Bills fans travel, but like they're not leaving Buffalo now. It's going to be a home game for the Browns. That's not a long ride, right, from Cleveland to Detroit. I would imagine it's not that bad.
I'm trying to look at
enough as a fan
map. Yeah, I would if I had to take an educated guess. Can I take a guess and you can try to figure it out?
Yeah.
All right. So Cleveland to Detroit. Oh man. I'm gonna say 5.5 drive.
Let's see. So Cleveland. Keep talking. I'm trying to get.
I'm gonna project. Now we're learning how fast can Alex use Google Maps. My goodness gracious.
Hold on.
GOOGLE. That's my projection. I've never been to Cleveland or Detroit. No, I have been to Detroit. That's true. That's false. I went to Detroit. I saw the Nets. Well, this wasn't technically Detroit, but I saw the Nets versus the Pistons in 2004. Nets went in and won in Detroit. This was the year that the Pistons ended up winning the championship. Nets went in, got the victory against the Pistons, and I was a really fun trip. I went to Ann Arbor that week.
Cool.
My buddy was on the Michigan basketball staff. We played basketball in the Chrysler. I think it was whatever the building for Michigan basketball was. A lot of fun. Anyway,
that is cool. It is right now. I mean, it's 8:50 a.m. on a Saturday.
Okay,
so
for the love of God, we can direct the traffic.
Did you get? What did you guess?
I said 5.5.
2.5 hours.
Oh God, it's way closer.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
so
the shortest. That's the fastest route. And if you want to be a psychopath and take the longest route and avoid highways, it's 4 hours and 40 minutes. But I'm sure with traffic, let's say 3 hours.
I was close. Close. I'm thinking for the
who does that, by the way? Who just says, you know what? Forget the fastest 2 hours. Route. I want to take. I'm scared of the highway. I want to just take the streets.
Man, I mean, if you want to avoid tolls, I guess.
Man, jeez.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I guess with traffic, let's say it's 3 hours, right? 3 hours and 15 minutes tops. But
it's reasonable.
It's not a bit. It's a drive that's going to happen from Browns fans, and Browns fans are crazy. It's going to be probably mostly Browns fans there, and that's going to be that's good for the Jets because the Jets need the Bills to lose. And then if the Jets win Sunday, then they're in first place in the AFC East, and we are pinching ourselves going to Thanksgiving. Like, how are we first in the division? How did this happen? How did we get here?
That's crazy. I mean,
I don't want to dream, but it's definitely possible.
I mean, if the Giants win and the Eagles lose, and then you had the Jets scenario that you talked about, if you went into Thanksgiving with the two New York teams after 10 weeks in first place, there's a chance that we are saying that this is something that happens.
Yeah.
I mean, the Eagles are in Indianapolis, which will be fascinating. The Colts now, one of the more interesting teams to watch in football.
No, yeah. Jeff Saturday.
Because of Saturday, not because of the team.
No,
like
not because of Matt Ryan at 100 years old. No,
it'd be really, I mean, that's just a wild thought. And I don't know the exact tiebreakers because the Giants and Eagles haven't played each other, but they both be 8-2. Just crazy.
The Eagles. Crazy. What the Eagles are playing the Colts. You said
they're in Indy. Yeah. In Indy,
the Eagles are going to smoke them. I think the Colts got that one win with the new coach, and it's all exciting. And now it's going to be like everybody's like, oh, okay, yeah. Like now make adjustments, and now we'll see what you really got.
We'll see. As I said, it's interesting. It's going to be It's one of those games you definitely want to keep an eye on Sunday. Just to
It
see
is
what's
funny
going
to me
on.
because they're making it like, all the ideas of it's like, well, maybe you don't have to be an out of shape 50-year-old with heart problems that devotes his life to being a football coach to coach an NFL team. You know what I mean? Like maybe you
I
could just
know.
know the game and show up and be a coach, like kind of like an NBA coach, So
Well,
I
I've
doubt
really
that,
pissed
but
off Bill Cowher.
yeah, he was
Oh, he was
heated, had
fired
that
up.
chin out there.
He was
Man.
fired up. I get from his perspective feeling
Yeah.
that way. Doesn't mean
Yeah,
he's
he's
right,
protecting his fellow coaches
but I
in his
understand it.
profession. Yeah. Yeah. He's the
Understanding where
guy.
he's
He's
coming
got to
from.
speak for his people. You know what I mean? He's got proteges that are all in the NFL trying to get that job or have that job, and he's the one who has to stand up for them, and that was the right thing to do for him.
Like in a couple of weeks, Joe Beningo's on the sideline coaching the Jets.
It's so funny.
Like that's the next leap. Beningo goes into
Yeah.
the pressers. Would be so funny after a Jet loss. He's like grilling himself.
Yeah, it was funny. I was just laughing because when Josh McCown was on the Jets quarterback and then he was done, he was like, "Just make McCown the coach." So I'm like laughing, like Josh McCown's going to be the coach the assistant next to him.
Jeez, McCown's got one of the best quotes of all time. When I think he was with Cleveland, he was talking about porn, and it got to pancakes. Very much worth a YouTube search.
I vaguely remember something.
It's about
like
going on porn searches, and somehow it relates to pancakes, and you don't know where you got. I don't know. Or
and he has like 10 kids.
Porn,
he has like a lot
porn
of
and pancakes or something. I don't know. Somehow porn and pancakes are related, but I don't know exactly.
Horny guy.
Well, no, I think it's about rehabilitation from porn.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm saying he's a horny guy. He's got a lot of kids.
I don't know. Maybe he was horny. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess we all are at some point.
Yes.
We're people. We have urges. Anyway, this got way out of line. Talking about porn. This has been Bad Weather Fans, episode 145. Nets 7-9, Knicks 8-8. We got 2 monster football games on Sunday in the New York metropolitan area. We're not in the areas. The Jets are on the road versus the Pats, but will be, of course, a lot of fun. Don't forget, everybody, check this out on YouTube. You can find Bad Weather Fans. Go ahead and subscribe and like all of the different episodes that you have seen, and do the same on Apple. Follow the show, like the show. We appreciate all engagement. Don't forget to leave us 5 stars, leave a comment. It all goes to helping this podcast. As here we are, Nets and Knicks in a weird space. I feel like in about a week from now, we'll have more clarity on both teams. Maybe not. Who knows? It's a long fucking season. Alex, good luck to your Jets on Sunday, and I mean that.
Thank you. And good luck to the Giants. I mean, I'm looking forward to that Thanksgiving Day game. That would be fun if it means something. It means a little more if they win.
This has been Bad Weather Fans, episode 145. Alex, I'll talk to you.
Want to keep talking? We can keep going.
I don't. I gotta. No, we're done.
Shut my mic off. Cut me off.
Shut my mic off. See you, Alex.
All right, bye.